Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great day. So, in today's video, I want to share with you a topic which is important. I feel it's one of the most important things going in your business, and it's called the power of decision. So, I want to ask you this question, which has been asked of me on several different occasions. When was the last time that you made an actual decision that really scared the living life out of you? That question had been posed to me by my own mentor at one stage. And I'm not really talking about what did you have for lunch. I'm actually talking about decisions that you made that have affected your career, your health, your life, maybe decisions and that would affect your family. Decisions that cause you really to get out of that comfort zone that you were in. Because the truth is, every single day we can stand at a particular crossroads, and most people don't make any decision. They delay. They want more certainty, they want more information, they want to know what is the right time. And while they wait, the opportunities tend to vanish. So today I want to share with you why decision making is the master key to success and how one bold decision can take you from where you are right now to where you want to go to in the future. So I have some notes in front of me here. I'm going to share some content that I have from these notes, and hopefully this can be help to somebody today, as it has helped me before in the past. So I asked myself that question as well, like what was one of the things that was really scaring me? I suppose really what I'm doing right now, creating content, uploading videos, recording videos, editing videos, because this was completely new to me, something I'd never done before. But as I said, I needed to grow. I needed to be able to, create more value for my clients. I needed to be able to get out of the comfort zone that I was in, because nothing magical can ever happen within the comfort zone. It is where most of the dreams tend to die. But one of the biggest things that was catching me was I was so paranoid about what would my family think, or what would friends think, or what would people think if they see me doing stuff on YouTube or doing my own videos and things like that. And it really started to get inside my head for a long time. And then I decided this is going to stop. It's going to stop. I've made a decision where I want to do something. I want to create a business where I can help other businesses, where I can help other entrepreneurs grow their businesses, and where I can provide value and content. And I had to make sure that I was prepared to record videos twice a week or record a masterclass at the weekend. And my decision was just to go out and do it, and whatever happens afterwards will happen. But it was all about the decisions that I was prepared to make. So, for the next few moments, let me share with you just the different ways that decisions can determine the qualities of your life. So, I suppose what is this a decision really? It comes from the Latin word um, desidere, I think it is called, and it really means to cut off. So, what are you prepared to cut off? You need to ask yourself that question on a regular basis. Are you, when you're cutting something off, is it going to affect you? Is it going to affect your family? Is it going to help you achieve the success that you truly want? Let us look at people that will do these things. Like a lot of people will contrast the difference between choosing and deciding, but they're not the same thing, and it often causes confusion. And look, go by a pretty little simple example. So choosing is browsing options, where deciding is about buying the ticket and boarding the aircraft. It's that simple. Now, I urge you maybe later on or right now, if you're watching this video, take the time for the next minute to write down one decision that you've been delaying in your life. It might be something in your career, it might be something in your health, it might be something in your finances, it might be something in your relationships. But there's something also that's very key when it comes to decision. There's a word what's called indecision. It's the complete polar opposite. And I suppose we can call it the enemy of decision. So again, looking through the notes here, I've bullet points written down here, and it's stated that not making a decision is still a decision. Most choices aren't permanent, but you can adjust as you go along. But so many people get completely stuck in hesitation. They overthink every detail, they try to predict every outcome, and they wait for the perfect time. But what I've learned throughout my life so far is that there's never going to be a perfect time. No plan goes exactly as we truly want it to go, and no decision is truly final. Now, we can pivot, but the only real mistake is doing absolutely nothing at all. Your dream completely dies when you do nothing at all. And it's inaction is what will truly, truly hurt you as a human being. It wastes your potential. It keeps you stuck in the what ifs. There's nothing worse than getting stuck in the what ifs, and it stops you from growing, learning, and improving. So instead of waiting, just start. Just go ahead and do it. I've made so many mess ups in my career. When I started on a particular journey, I look back and say, oh, why did I do it this way or that way? But I just took the action and decided to do it. There's a story I'd love to share with you just for a few moments. I have two very short stories. One is about Howard Schultz. Howard Schultz was one of the founder of Starbucks. Sorry, I should say, bought out Starbucks from its founders. But it goes like this: Howard Schultz grew up in a poor family in Brooklyn, in New York, and his father worked in many low-paying jobs. They were unstable jobs, and there was never enough money coming in. So Howard promised himself one day that he would create a better life. So in his 20s, he was working for a coffee equipment company when he noticed that a small client in Seattle called Starbucks, which all of us are very familiar with nowadays, was ordering a surprising amount of coffee beans. And he was curious and decided to visit the Starbucks outlet. So when he walked into the store, he was completely struck by the aroma and actually of the coffee beans, by the ambience that was there, by the way that the store was laid out. He thought it was absolutely phenomenal. But at that particular time, Starbucks only sold coffee beans and coffee equipment. They did none of the variety of products that we see now every single day. But as I said, there was no coffee brewed in there to drink in any of the stores. But a year later, Howard Schultz was actually taking a trip to Milan, and he discovered that every single person that was there, like, there was coffee bars first of all everywhere, but everyone was buying and drinking coffee, and it was part of them gathering the material, building relationships, and it was making part of their daily ritual. So Howard decided he was going to make a decision, and he came back to Seattle and he told the Starbucks owners that we need to bring the Italian coffee houses, the Italian way of drinking coffee, to the United States of America. But the owners said no, they didn't want to get into that kind of restaurant business style. So Schultz had two choices. He decided, well, am I prepared to stay comfortable, or am I in a safe job, or am I prepared to make a decision that could change his life and maybe he could fail? He decided to leave Starbucks. He decided to raise the money and he started to build his own coffee shop. Although it was a massive risk for him and he didn't have the deep pockets and he didn't have guaranteed customers. But his first store became a massive hit. And amazingly, 2 years later, the original owners from Starbucks decided to sell their business. And who bought it but Howard Schultz? Now, what I love about that story is that today Starbucks has over 80,000 stores globally, and it's in more than 80 countries. So what's the lesson that we learn here from decision making from this story is that, Howard had to make a decision before he had the money and before he knew the how. The decision came with a risk. It came with the risk of rejection. It came with the risk of discomfort, but it shaped an entirely new coffee culture on a global level that each and every one of us know. But if he had waited until the conditions were right, Starbucks as we know it probably wouldn't exist. My second story is a real simple one as well, and I just like to share stories when I'm, explaining these things, but there was a missed opportunity, and it was basically Boeing and the supersonic jet. So in the 1960s, there was a race to build a supersonic jet, and the US government was pushing for an all-American made Concorde competitor. And the Boeing had a really bold design that was called the Boeing 2707, and it promised to fly over 2,000 kilometers an hour, and it would carry more passengers than Concorde, which was going to be powerful. The airlines were lining up with massive interest. Boeing had prestige, they had engineering talent, they had the facilities, they had potential contracts worth billions, but there was one problem. The leadership team couldn't make decisions quickly. I remember the late Bob Proctor saying that before, you would find that good entrepreneurs would make decisions very, very quickly, but they would be very slow to make those changes on the decisions that they had made at a later stage. So you always try and make those decisions quite quickly. But in the Boeing situation, the leadership team didn't make the decisions quickly. They hesitated on crucial questions such as which material to use, would it be titanium or aluminium? They also they were slow on the question of which wing design would they use, and they were also slow to say whether they would push ahead before all testing was complete. But it's amazing. Instead of deciding there and then, they decided that they would try and what's the right word I'm trying to use? I suppose they just stalled, really, to excuse the pun in aviation terms. They didn't make decisions quickly. But the time Boeing had actually finalised their design years later, time had passed, political support had changed, Public opinion had completely shifted against the supersonic travel due to noise and environmental concerns, and the US government pulled the funding in 1971, and Boeing's Beast 2707 literally never got off the ground. It never even got off the drawing board. The Concorde developed decisively, and Britain and France claimed the glory and the market. So it was a big, big loss to America. But the sad thing about this was that Boeing lost potential contracts. They never ever re-entered into the supersonic passenger race again. And the sad thing is that they lost 60,000 staff members because they couldn't get this project off the ground. Therefore, there's massive lessons in decision making that we're making. Remember, indecision just doesn't keep things safe. It kills off the opportunity for each and every one of us. It's massive. Therefore, what are some of the lessons for decision making? Remember, indecision just doesn't keep things safe. It kills opportunities. The market moves when you hesitate. Competitors seize the opportunity and they seize the opening, and your team loses momentum and belief. And in business and in life, you either decide to move forward or someone else decides who is faster, and they end up taking the win. They end up taking all the glory. So there's lessons for each and every one of us in our business here. And again, look, I'm just trying to share from the notes that I have here. But look, how do we make decisions now without knowing the how? Bob Proctor, again, as I've mentioned him on several different occasions, he had a great line. He said, you don't have to know the how, you just have to make a decision. So how about today that maybe you might take the time to write out one thing that you will commit to before knowing all the steps? I think there's a joy in that. There's a sense of adventure in that when you don't know everything, that you just have to go on blind faith and say that I'm going to do this. I have the willpower to do this. I have the willpower to try and go to the next level. But you still don't know the steps. You don't know the how, but you know that you're going to get there. Somehow it's going to open up. Things are going to happen for you. So we need to be making decisions as a daily habit. And these are the small daily decisions that shape big outcomes. Decision making isn't just for big moments. It's a daily discipline. So decide like what time you're going to start at. Decide what time you're going to accept your clients at. Decide what kind of results that you're going to settle for. For every small decision trains that muscle for the big ones. And every time you decide quickly and firmly, you're reinforcing a better self-image, you're enforcing yourself as a better leader, and you're forcing that you're not a drifter. So I have a challenge here that I've often said to people here, and it's simple, and it states that make one meaningful decision today and act on it within 24 hours. So what's that decision that you're going to make today? It's really important that we make these decisions. So let's have a call to action on this one. So remember, decision is the master key, indecision is the thief. So right now there's a decision in your life that you've been, postponing. What is that decision? The second you decide, not next week, not after thinking about it, but now you're going to shift from reacting life to actually creating it. So what do you truly want to create? And remember, your life changes the moment you decide. It has to change the moment you decide. So I think before we finish up on this video, let's put a decision into writing. Write out today what you truly want, what you truly decide that you want to do, and create that first action step and bring you to where you want to go to. So thank you for allowing me to share my notes with you this evening. I hope that the topic has helped each and every one of you. Again, if you have any comments, please leave them in the comment section below. And good night, God bless, and thanks for everything.